This is my cell city of Seoul, South Korea. The first part of my cell city is the cell wall, which I made the fortress wall of Seoul, also called Hanyang Dosong. During the Joseon dynasty, these walls were built to protect the city of Seoul from invaders. The cell wall is there to protect the inside of the cell and is very rigid, just like the fortress wall of Seoul. The next part of the city is the cell membrane, which I made Incheon International Airport. One of the functions of the cell membrane is to transport toxic substances out of the cell and good nutrients into the cell. Similar to the international airport, when people first arrive in Korea from the plane, they need to go through customs and get their passport checked. That way they can let the people through who have a passport and keep those possibly dangerous people without a passport out of Seoul. The nucleus in my city is President Moon Jae-in. The nucleus is the powerhouse of the cell and contains DNA as well as several other important components. The nucleus is important in keeping control over the cell because it regulates its activities. President Moon Jae-in, who lives in the Blue House, is like the nucleus. He is the chief of the executive branch of South Korea's government and is commander-in-chief of the Republic of Korea Armed Forces. He helps enforce laws, which keeps control over the citizens of South Korea. Next are the chromosomes of the city, such as the construction workers and building blueprints. Chromosomes contain genetic information that the cell needs in order to recreate itself. Much like chromosomes, blueprints of new buildings have the plans and instructions on how and where the building should be built. Since Seoul is always expanding, this is very important for construction workers so they know how and where to build the new buildings for businesses. Next is the mitochondria, which I made Dangin Lead Power Plant. The mitochondria helps generate energy that a cell needs. People in Korea use a lot of electricity because their Wi-Fi is so fast, so a power plant is definitely important to generate all of the energy and electricity used by the people every day. The endoplasmic reticulum in my city is the subway and the subway stations. The endoplasmic reticulum is in charge of transporting proteins in a cell. Roads and subways in Korea are just like the endoplasmic reticulum. Since there are so many subways available all throughout Seoul, many people don't own cars. Therefore, subways are used every day to transport people to work, home, school, or any other place. The ribosomes in Seoul are the grocery stores, street food vendors, and convenience stores. Ribosomes are in charge of producing the proteins for the cell. In Korea, there are many farms that produce fresh produce and food. These foods are then transported to the grocery stores in Seoul, which people then buy to eat. When people are hungry and craving a late-night snack, they go to the closest convenience store or street food vendor to buy the food. Golgi bodies in Seoul are like post offices, the most well-known one being Seoul Central Post Office. Golgi bodies are membranes in a cell that package and deliver proteins to be sent to different parts. These would be like post offices, which organize mail and ship it to different parts of the country or world. The chloroplast of Seoul would be a solar power plant. There is a huge solar farm being built in Seoul that is floating on a lake. The chloroplast of a plant cell captures the sunlight and produces sugars from it, which is then used to power the cell. Solar panels also capture sunlight to generate energy and produce electricity from the sun. The Han River would be the central vacuole of the city. The center vacuole is what stores the water in a plant cell. The Han River also stores water that people in Seoul use to drink. When drinking water is needed, it's taken from the Han River, filtered, and distributed to the public. This is what the center vacuole does with water for the plant cell. Finally, the lysosome of Seoul would be Yongsan Recycling Center. The lysosome organelles are in charge of breaking down excess or worn-out cell parts. The Recycling and Waste Disposal Center is like a lysosome because the people that work there are in charge of disposing things from the city that are either trash, extra, or worn out. And that was my cell city of Seoul, South Korea.